it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, we're going to learn how to crochet an I-cord. Now, I first saw I-cords and learned how to do them when I was knitting, well before I learned how to crochet. And it wasn't until several years later that I learned that there was such thing as a crochet I-cord. So this is a really practical skill to know. It's a little bit more sturdy and substantial than making a chain. Like if you want to make a strap or a handle for something, you can tie it right onto things. You can use them for all kinds of things in your crochet projects, and it could even be a very sturdy, thick kind of drawstring as well. So for this tutorial, we're just going to be using this is Bernat Maker Home Deck. And I'm going to be using an 8mm hook, and you'll just need a pair of scissors. And then however you want to incorporate them into your project. You don't have to use the specific yarn or hook. You can use whatever you like. To begin, I'm going to zoom way in so you can see what I'm doing here. Then we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. So wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Then what we're going to do is chain 3. So to make a chain, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, and 3. Then what we're going to do is start to set up the loops that we'll have on our hook. So insert your hook into that second loop from the end here, that middle one. So remember we did 3 chains. So insert the hook into that middle chain, bring up a loop, then insert the hook into that chain farthest from the hook, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 chains on your hook. So then what we're going to do is, this is a little bit odd and it might feel a little bit awkward in your hand, but just try to go slow. And I know the first time that I learned, I pulled it apart like 3 times. So it's okay. If you need to pull it apart and start over, that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 loops off of our hook. So just carefully, slowly slide those off. And then what we're going to do is wrap yarn around hook and bring it through that loop that's on your hook. Okay? Then we're going to put the loop closest to you back onto the hook, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that loop. Then you're going to put that last loop back on the hook, wrap yarn around hook, and bring it through that loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook once again. Okay? Let's repeat that. This is all you're going to do, is just repeat what we just did. Okay? And I think that the longer you do it, the more natural it'll feel. It's very odd at first, in my opinion. So take these loops off, just slip them off very carefully and hold on to them. Don't let them go. Wrap yarn around hook, bring through the loop that's already on your hook. Put that loop on that's closest to you, that middle loop. Put that back on. You can use your finger to help a little bit if you need to. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that loop you just put on. Slip that last loop back on. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that last loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook again. It doesn't look quite like our finished I-cord, but as you work more rows, it will sort of form into a rope. It sort of like folds in on itself, okay? So then what we're going to do is, once again, slip those 2 loops off, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that first loop, put that next loop on, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that loop you just put on, slip that loop on, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that last loop, okay? You can kind of give it a little tug as you go. Okay? And we're going to do the same thing. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that first loop, put that second loop back on, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that next loop, put that third loop on, wrap yarn around hook, bring through that last loop. Okay, you always have 3 loops on your hook when you end. Okay, so then let's do that again. We're going to do this a bunch of times together so we can do the whole thing together. So slip 2 loops off, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that first loop, put that second loop back on, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the second loop, put that third loop on, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that third loop. Give it a little tug. Then we're going to do the same thing. Slip those loops off, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that loop, slip that second loop back onto the hook, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that second loop, slip that third loop on, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through that third loop. 3 loops are on the hook. Okay, so just continue with that. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to work a few more rows just to show you how we can get some length on this, and then we'll rejoin and I'll show you how to fasten off. Alright, so I kept going and we have a nice little cord now, similar to the one I showed you before. Now if you notice, this one looks a little bit bigger and looser. I used a size hook down. So try experimenting with different hooks. If you want a little bit of a tighter I-cord, you could go down a hook size. If you need something a little bit bigger and looser looking, then try a larger hook. But I definitely wanted to show you with the larger hook so you could see everything. So what we want to do now, this is how I like to finish them, rather, is wrap the yarn around the hook and just bring it through all 3 loops on your hook. And then what you can do is grab a pair of scissors and wrap the yarn around the hook and just bring it through. Now what you can do now is leave these tails intact, and you could tie them onto something. For example, if you were making something with straps, you could tie those straps right on. You could also grab your tapestry needle, and really either one of these, you can thread your tapestry needle and just weave the tail right through the middle of the I-cord. Just being careful not to let it show, because it has a very nice braided look and it'll interfere with that look. It'll interrupt those nice looking braids. But you can just sort of bring the tail up through the middle of the I-cord. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you've ever made an I-cord, either knitted or crocheted, let me know in the comments below. If you're curious about knitting an I-cord, I will put the link down below to my knitted I-cord tutorial also. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again!